All right, let's talk about something we've all experienced. You know when you're online and it feels like the website has a terrible memory, like you have to log in again or your shopping cart just vanishes? Well, that's not a bug. It's actually a core feature of the internet called HTTP statelessness. And believe it or not, this forgetfulness is one of the web's biggest superpowers. So let's dive in.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, I want you to imagine something with me. Picture a bartender, and let's call him HTTP.
So, you go up to the bar, you order a beer. HTTP asks for your ID, you pay, and he hands you the drink. Simple. It's a single, perfect, complete transaction. Done and dusted.
Now, 10 seconds later, you're ready for another one. You go back up and say, hey, I'll have another one. Seems easy enough, right? But instead of grabbing your drink, HTTP just stares at you blankly and goes, who are you? Have we met? You literally have to start the entire process all over again. And that right there is exactly how the internet's core protocol, HTTP, works.
So that brings us to our first big idea, the forgetful bartender. And this isn't just some silly story, it's a perfect analogy for how HTTP was designed, on purpose.
So what's the technical term for this? It's called HTTP statelessness. And what it means is that every single interaction is treated like a brand new event. The server has absolutely zero memory of any previous requests. Once it answers you, poof, it's like you never existed.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds awful, like incredibly inefficient, right? Maybe even a mistake. But here's the twist. This was completely intentional. It is 100% a feature, not a bug. Which leads to the big question, right? Why? Why would anyone design the foundation of the web to have the memory of a goldfish?
Well, it really comes down to three main things. First, it's simple. A server just has to do one job. Get a request, send a response. No complex history to manage. Second, it's resilient. If one server goes down, who cares? It wasn't in the middle of a deep conversation with you anyway. But the real game changer, the number one reason, is something called horizontal scalability. And this slide shows it perfectly. Look at the stateful model on the left. You're basically stuck talking to one specific server. If that server gets swamped or crashes, you're done. But now, look at the stateless world on the right. Because no single server has to remember you, your request can go to any available server in the fleet. Server 1, Server 2, Server 100, it doesn't matter. This is the secret sauce. This is what lets giants like Google or Amazon handle millions of people all at the same time. So, okay, statelessness is amazing for engineers building massive systems. It's scalable, it's robust, it's great for the machines. But for us, the actual users, let's be real, it's a terrible experience. We need websites to remember who we are. I mean, just think about it. You want your shopping cart to actually hold your stuff, right? You want to stay logged in. You want to see your personalized feed. Every single one of those things requires memory. It requires state. So here's the puzzle. How do we build these memorable experiences on top of a protocol that's designed to forget? Well, we get clever. We don't try to change our forgetful bartender. Instead, we give him a toolkit. We give him some tricks and tools to help him remember us, even though it's not in his nature.
Okay, tool number one, the classic, cookies. And the analogy here is perfect. Think of it like a wristband at a music festival. The server gives it to you once when you enter, and then you just flash that wristband every time you go up to the bar.
So, how does that work in practice? It's pretty simple. On your first visit, the server basically tells your browser, hey, hang on to this for me. From that moment on, your browser just automatically shows that little piece of info, the cookie, with every single request it makes to that server. It's like an automatic name tag that says, hey, it's me again. All right, our next tool is called a server-side session. Now this one's a little different. It's less like a wristband and more like a coat check at a fancy restaurant. You give the attendant your valuable stuff, your coat, your bag, and all you get back is a little ticket.
So in this setup, all the important stuff, like what's in your shopping cart, stays safe and sound on the server. Your browser is just holding on to a tiny, basically meaningless session ID. That's your code check ticket. And when you need something, you just present that ticket and the server goes to its back room, looks up your number, and pulls out all your data.
Now let's talk about a more modern tool in the box, the JSON Web Token, or JWT for short. The best analogy for this one? A stamped passport. It's a self-contained document that has all the info needed to prove who you are. And it's been officially signed by an authority you trust, in this case, the server.
And here's where it gets really cool. The server creates this token, puts your user info inside, and then cryptographically signs it. That signature is like a tamper-proof wax seal. So when you show up with your passport, the server doesn't have to go look you up in some big database. Nope, it just checks the signature. If that seal is intact, it trusts everything inside. It's incredibly efficient.
Okay, so we've got our toolkit: cookies, sessions, JWTs. The big question now is, which one do you use? Each one has its pros and cons, so choosing the right tool for the job is key. Let's break down the trade-offs.
This table lays it all out pretty clearly. Let's start with sessions. See where the state is stored? On the server. That makes them super secure but a bit tougher to scale. This is your go-to for something like a banking app where security is everything. Then you've got JWTs. The state is stored on the client, inside that token. This makes them incredibly scalable, perfect for modern APIs and microservices. And you'll also see local storage on here. It's another client-side option, but it's not as secure, so you'd use it for non-sensitive stuff. Like remembering if a user prefers dark mode.
All right, so after all that, what's the big takeaway? What's the final verdict?
Here's the practical guide. Use sessions when you need maximum control and security. Think banking apps. Use JWTs when you're building for massive scale, like with microservices or mobile APIs. So where do cookies fit in? Well, cookies are the delivery truck. They're the secure way you transport either your session ticket or your JWT passport back and forth.
And really, that's the heart of it all. The web was built to be stateless. It's simple, it's tough, and it can scale to infinity. But we, the users, need it to remember us. The real art of building for the web is learning how to bridge that gap. And understanding this trade-off between the elegant simplicity of statelessness and the real-world need for state, well, that's what separates someone who just writes code from someone who designs truly great systems.